Welcome to day 3 of Become a Money Making Muse. Today we're going to be talking about the habits and actions that you need to take as a professional, as a pro. And I had defined what a pro was in day 1. If you hadn't watched that and you're watching the replay, definitely watch those 2 first. But if you're here and you just really want to get into it, there's no rules. There's no penalty for watching them in the wrong order. So first, as with all my live streams and this training, if you're watching the replay, wait until I give you the 2 thumbs up, and then you know that I can get started, or you can kind of fast forward there. I've just got to do all the tech stuff and send it out and share this video and make sure I do my part to get this seen. And this is one of the habits and actions that you're going to need to take when you are building a creative business. It's more than just making the art, even though I hope that that is what you're good at, although I will cover that today as one of the things that you need to do as a creative now that you're going to step up and into this bigger arena of not only just being a creative who makes the work and who does that work and makes that art, but you're also offering it and creating this business, and that requires an expansion of the work that you need to do and the person that you need to become. This doesn't necessarily mean more work, it just means working smarter, changing your mindset, becoming more of who you were always meant to be, which is why you're called in this place in the first place. All right, excuse me, go grab a drink, go grab your journal or get your notes ready. If you're watching this, go to the other room if you need to. Make this a priority, and therefore you will get as much from this as you put in terms of attention and time. And if you know someone who would love to see this, definitely tag them in the comments below. Share this video. I would love for you to be able to share it with a friend that you know would love to learn from this, or to share it in a group. If you're in a Facebook group or something who would love, and there's a whole bunch of people in there who would love to learn from this, thank you so much. Definitely share, and welcome if you're watching from those groups. Make sure you say hi and comment below. In all my videos, I always ask that you comment #YayLive or #YayReplay, depending on when you're watching this. All right, share. Okay, I'm going to share this inside a couple of groups. Day 3, it's going to be so good. I was just looking through my notes. I was actually washing my hair and doing my hair and trying to clean it with purple shampoo and stuff. And that's totally relevant for today's training. I'm not just waffling along. Do that. Save this link so I can send it out to the emails. Okay, before I forget. I am going to comment below all about working with me in private mentoring. This is what I'm going to be talking about. I am doing this training. I hope that even if you don't work with me, that you get incredible value, that this helps you at least with a few nuggets of gold to help you lay the foundations as you start building this creative business of yours that you're looking for. Obviously, when you're working with me, private mentoring for the 8 weeks is going to be so much faster, so much more helpful, because you get that accountability, you get that space held for you. We get to work together one-on-one to work out clarity and really get clear on what it is that you want to do, how you want to do it, brainstorm ideas and open your mind in new ways, and to help you see things that you didn't even know that you didn't know. And I understand what that feels like when you are just starting something. Actually, I'm already starting to go. So if you're watching a replay, this is it. If with private mentoring, it just means that you get to leapfrog ahead. You get to go and move forward a lot faster because you're being held in that space. You're investing not only just the money and the time and the energy, but also the attention from both of us. That's the beauty of one-on-one, is that there's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to procrastinate, there's nowhere to kind of lurk silently in the background and hope you can get away with just wishing and dreaming and not actually doing. That's what one-on-one work is, the gem and the magic, and where the great value comes from. It's about personalizing all of these things that I'm giving you in these live streams. I can only give it in a general kind of way. Obviously, definitely comment your questions below if you're seeing this video on my Facebook page, and I will come back around during this launch period to answer them as best as I can. But obviously, this is all about my first 5 package. This is all to introduce you to what it is like to work with me, but we're in a much closer capacity, in a way that works for you, meeting you where you're at. I'm not sure where you are on that journey is. Maybe you're just getting that nudge, or you've been trying for a little while, but something keeps holding you back. You got scared, you procrastinated, life kind of got in the way, and then you got overwhelmed by all the options, or you got overwhelmed by all the freaking out about being seen and worrying that you're doing the wrong thing, and you tried once and someone said something, and even though you know you shouldn't take it too personally, but it still hurts, and you just feel like maybe it's not for you, and you're just not good enough, and that your body of work is not good enough, and that you're just too introverted and you can't put yourself out there and be seen and to talk about your work, and you feel like you sound stupid. I felt all those things, and some of the time I spent a long time, like months, years, trying to like talk myself out of it, trying to learn and try to like be a detective and try and work out what the artists that I admired and were my heroes in not just their art, but in the way that they were able to be independent artists and to sell their work and to share their creative work to the world in a greater capacity. I believe that a creative business is your vehicle to not only, you know, get some money to like fund your art supplies or whatever, or have some pocket money to buy extra ice cream for your kids, but it becomes a vehicle for you to expand and learn so much more than you could where you're at, just making your work and just dabbling in social media and just dabbling in different groups, and maybe, you know, dreaming about doing a market one day, selling it to your best friend maybe. Like, the vehicle as a business helps you expand the way you see yourself and the way you hold yourself as a creative and the work that you do, and treat it like a business. I have learned so much, like as a personal development, creative development and mindset, and just becoming more of who I always was, and to be able to step up as a leader. Because when you're a creative, no matter what the work that you do, if you're creating art with meaning, I'm for the people who want to create work with meaning. Like, you're not just making another pretty thing. That pretty thing probably serves a much deeper reasons, a much deeper calling. Like jewelry, I was sharing this in the last video. Jewelry might be something beautiful and it makes you look pretty and you feel pretty, but it also gives me more meaning in the sense that it connects me to my past, it connects me to what I want to remember, it connects me to my babies, it connects me to my values, it reminds me of my values of beauty and connection and creativity and all of those things. It is more than just a pretty thing. And so this connection to this deeper meaning means that your creative business is that vehicle to expand into that and to become a leader of that. There's probably a message you want to share. There is some sort of gift that you're offering to the world beyond just this pretty little thing that you're making for them. And so connecting to that, using business as a vehicle for you to be able to expand in that, so that you can have that energy exchange of money and also time and attention. Because you're not just asking someone to pay you, you want them to appreciate the work, and you want to connect with people who enjoy the conversations that you want to have and who appreciate it and who are transformed by the work that you do. And so knowing that means that you're using it as a vehicle to really rise up. And this means you need to develop the habits and the actions and expand and stretch beyond where you're currently at, you can kind of see the vision, you can kind of get an idea, you're maybe getting excited, and you were getting those little inklings, oh, maybe I could sell my work. I remember that feeling, maybe I could just sell my paintings, that would be cool. I did not know the path and the journey ahead of me was going to require so much growth, so much stretching, so much learning and facing of my fears and resistance and inner bad habits and sabotages by my emotions and my inner critic, and letting go of other people's expectations and connecting and giving myself that permission to want what I want, to follow my calling, and to create it in a way that allows me to create work that I love and work with people that I love in a way that I get to have conversations. Because I'm an introvert too, I don't want to have shallow talk. I want to have conversations that hold meaning for me and makes me feel inspired, and that inspiration then allows me to create more work, and that work goes out into the world and attracts more people who I love to talk to, and then it becomes this beautiful cycle. And so today we're talking about the habits and the actions that you need to take. And the reason I'm offering this and talking about this is because private mentoring, when I finally invested in coaching and in courses and putting money and time and attention, although there are a few courses that are just sitting on my digital shelves and didn't invest the time or energy into it, and I didn't get what I needed from it, although I probably did in some other way. But when I put the money and the time and the energy in having that investment, especially one-on-one, I couldn't hide anymore. I couldn't procrastinate anymore. I couldn't keep falling back on my own excuses about why I am not doing what I say I want to do, or I'm not learning what I want to learn. I'm not expanding beyond my comfort zone so that I can create the business that I want and work towards the vision that I'm holding, and growing that dream beyond that first initial step at the beginning, which might be where you're at, but you know that there's probably something more. You know that this first step of creating this business is going to be the first step of many to this greater vision that you might not even fully realize what's involved yet, but you're kind of excited, and I hope you are, at what is to come, provided that you were committed, which is what we talk about day one. And commitment not only just means, yes, I definitely want to do it, but willing to stretch, to go beyond, to be uncomfortable so that you can do these habits and actions that I'm going to be sharing in today's training, and doing it consistently, which is one of the things we'll be talking about. And you are committed and you are clear about where you want to go. And we covered the who, what, where, when, why of that in day 2's video. We cover a lot more of this and get it more personalized and get more clear and really tap into the tools that you need to practice that commitment, because commitment isn't a once and done deal. Yes, it's a split-second decision. That's the line in the road, the line on the road where you're like, from this day forth, I'm going to be a pro. I'm going to go for this. I'm going to give this all I've got. But at the same time, it's still a daily practice. So going, oh, why did I do this again? Getting clear on that why. That's what private mentoring is. That's what First 5 is going to be all about. I'm offering this so that we can work one-on-one, 8 weeks together. We can lay the foundations, and not just setting up your creative business if that's what you need, or like really work on your website or whatever it is that your ideas are to start offering your work for the world, showing up on Instagram, showing up on Facebook with live streams, really understanding who your clients are. It's about the day-to-day stuff. It's the how do you weave it all with babies and nap times and school pickups and laundry. How do you keep coming back when you feel like such a fraud and that you are not good enough and that you feel like, oh, I can't believe I was so stupid, I didn't realize this and I made that mistake again. And how do you come back to that? That's why I mentioned my hair. I'm going to put this in. The notes are there in the comments, which I'm going to pin once it comes up, and which is about First 5. I will share more about it as I go along, but it's 8 weeks one-on-one mentoring with me. This is the expansion of everything that you're learning in these videos. This is why I say watch these videos as soon as you can, because they're only going to be up for a little while, and then I'm pulling it down for exclusive access to my private mentoring clients, because this is the pre-work that they need to know, they need to understand, and this is what we're going to this is going to be a small part of what we'll be working together, right? And just getting confident, getting clear on what it is you want you to do. And then the nitty gritty practical stuff, like how do we show up on Instagram? What do we write on caption? All the stuff that I can't share in this really short training, which reminds me, I should stop waffling. But do you hear me? Comment below, hell yes, hashtag hell yes, I am ready. I want to learn. I want to be a pro. I want to develop, and I'm committed to imperfectly take steps forward to develop the habits that I'm going to need to make the art as well as be making the money. All right, how do I pin this? I don't know. All right. Okay, so first of all, these are the habits and actions that you need to take to do your creative work and sell it with soul, right? All sounds nice and happy. And the first thing I want to say, and this is a mistake I made, and I didn't think that I would make this mistake because I wanted to paint. That was my goal. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could sell my paintings so I can get some money so I could paint some more? And what I found myself doing was, as I was building that business and really getting into it and then really getting stuck on trying to learn all by myself with only free resources that other people give. Some of it was helpful, most of it was just, only scratching the surface and thinking that somehow I was going to be able to build depth and really lay a strong foundation. And you don't see the foundations of a building because they're all internal and inside. But thinking that maybe I could just figure it out on my own and not see the unseen stuff, and using the scratching the surface resources to somehow lay that foundation, made a lot of mistakes in that way. But then it meant I spent all this time learning and trying to learn code and build my website in this way, and really stressing about my brand colors and whether or not my logo looked professional enough, and like stressing about business cards and what kind of email sign off I should have, and the bio of my like Facebook page, and trying to like comment in Facebook page groups and hanging out in the wrong kind of groups with other artists who weren't really serious about their work, or just felt like they should just be able to post a picture of their painting and then people will come and buy it, right? Like who's gonna I open an Etsy shop and therefore now it should be the answers to my prayers, and all these people are gonna come and see my stuff and they will now pay and throw money at me. But at the same time, like learning about Etsy and learning about like how to post it and take photos and all of these things. Yes, absolutely. You are laying a foundation. You got to spend and invest more time in building all these structures up. But I was no longer painting. I was no longer creating art. And then the longer you leave it, I was falling out of the habit of it, and it got harder, and then that resistance rose up higher and higher, and it gave me an excuse to not share my work because I had no work to share. And so that is the first thing. And I feel like maybe that's a bit too obvious and I didn't want to say it, and I feel like maybe I'm the only one that made that mistake. So maybe that's the case, but if there's only one of you that this helps and that you need that reminder, and I think we all need that, because in business, regardless of whether you're an artist or a creative or just making a business, everyone struggles with working on the business, which is the structure and the big vision planning and making the strategy, versus working in the business where you're like doing the actual work that you're being paid for, like actually making the product, like actually making the art, like actually servicing clients and talking to them and connecting with them and following up with them and all of those things. Those are the habits and actions. Those are the things, this way of thinking now as a creative business owner, you need to find that balance. I want to write this down in here so it's like time stamped. Find the balance and your own secret blend of creating the art. And by art, I mean whatever your art is. And so if your art is the service, there's probably things that you can create that showcases, and this is what we'll talk about next in the marketing side of things, that showcases what you are capable of doing. This is when you're looking at curating your portfolio. And let's say, okay, Let's say you want to be a designer, you want to do logos, it's a service, and you need to find clients to do it for. But that doesn't mean while you're waiting for clients to find you, that you can't be doing your own personal passion projects or projects that showcases the skills that you want to have, that you want to offer as a service. And that requires you spending that time doing it, right? And this is when I see a lot of people in the service, when they struggle because they're spending so much time working on the business, in the business that they don't work on the business. This is when you need to create those projects that not only so that you can showcase your skill. This is why I want to do commissions, and I love working on commissions that are my highest value one-on-one work. But at the same time, I still want to do my own paintings, and this applies to products too. I want to do my own paintings because it not only showcases my ability while to future commission clients and those services that I want to provide, but it also allows me to create work that I love. It allows me to improve my skill set. It allows me to explore and experiment in new ways that you couldn't do if you were doing it for a client. Does that make sense? Hashtag below. And connecting. Working in the business and on the business. All right, before I get distracted, because sometimes I wish I could just give you a linear step-by-step thing, and there totally could be, but things just weave in and out, and that's just the way the creative process works, and that's the way we're just going to have to deal with it and roll with it. All right. Gonna delete that one. Oh, I don't understand why you can't. Okay. All right. So the homework for that is create. Okay. Don't ever forget this habit and make it a habit, and now make it a priority. If you're a business and a creative business, you need to make it a priority, not only to learn all the things that you need to learn to be a creative business owner, to be a CEO, to run a business, like the money side, accounts, marketing, PR, all those things. A lot of it is fancy distractions. This is why when we work one-on-one with me in private mentoring, we will work out what it is that you need to focus on, where you're at, and kind of plan out and know so that you get clear on when you can start looking at all the fancier things, because you're ready for it, because you have the foundation for it, right? Like when you're first starting, there's no point in thinking about ads and getting press and PR when you don't have a way to leverage it, to use it to your advantage. There's no way for you to be able to showcase even more and use that press for to get more clients, or to showcase it in a way that's going to attract your community, or to make more sales and all those kind of things. It's like they say, yes, for all the exposure, but your business cannot survive on exposure. It needs to have sales. It needs to make those connections with community of people who actually like you, and not just to make you feel good about, hey, so and so wrote me on this paper about my art. Yes, you can definitely use it, but anyway, getting distracted now. So the first thing is, you're a creative, you need to create. You need to create it as a habit. You're going to make it a priority, and whether this is a daily 10-minute thing to make sure that you're touching in with your studio, because I've learned and I've heard and I've when I was talking to other creatives and stuff, especially when they're selling it and they're doing the creative business, that's the juggle that no one really talks about. We think, a lot of people just think that, we just sit in our studio and we're just making art all the time. That's like 20 to 30% of the time. The rest of the time, I am helping to create all the other parts of the machine that we were talking about, the machine that you're building that is this business, this beautiful masterpiece that is your creative business. Making the actual art part is only a small portion of it, but it's still an important part of it. So maybe for you, you find it really easy to create art and create the work. Then you're going to have to balance it with creating the structure and everything else for your business. But at the same time, once you get good at that part, don't forget this other habit of creating the work. So even before you have clients, before you get your customers, create the work, upskill, keep practicing, make it a part of your life. You're a painter, make sure you paint. If you're a writer, make sure you write. If you want to sell jewelry, make sure you're making those jewelries or practicing how to make it. If you want to teach and be a I don't know, I'm trying to think of another example. The idea is to create like a designer, and or you want to do logos for people. You can still do pretend portfolio pieces so that it upskills you and it showcases your thing and push your skill set, and do it in a way that you maybe won't get to explore and experiment, and be able to showcase that. The reason we want that is so that you can create, number two, create the content, because today's word of the day is about create, right? Let me put that in. Here we go. Pinned comment. That's better. Today's word of the day is create. So not only do you have to create the work, create the art, create the habit, create that creative practice, and really know your creative practice and learn your own kind of formula for it and find that cycle. That is part of the habits that you need to make as a professional. A professional is able to show up even when you're not feeling it, even when you're not feeling inspired, or you don't have any idea and you feel like everything you make is utter crap. Developing that habit of showing up and sitting your ass on that chair and making work and creating that work and making the art and churning and getting rid and releasing the bad art, the crappy art, the feeling unmotivated or uninspired or whatever. You need to make a habit of it to keep tapping in, connecting to the muse and creating the work, whatever that looks like for you. And you will find your own formula for this. And obviously, this is where one-on-one, when we do more mentoring, I'm going to keep saying this, we will try different tactics and try different ways. So one of the ways that I like to do it is to go, it has to be daily. First thing in the morning, before you do anything else, you get in the studio and you sit down and you spend at least 15 to 20 minutes doing something. And sometimes connecting with the muse doesn't look like actually painting on a canvas for me. Sometimes it's like cleaning my brushes and really in an intentional meditative way, but I'm doing that while I'm kind of like looking at a painting and trying to formulate compositions in my mind. That's my way of touching back into painting. This is why I do enjoy having a home studio, because while I didn't have time and my time is so constricted, this is why I am not a fan when people tell me I don't have enough time, Brenda. And I'm like, you don't have kids and you cannot talk to me about not having enough time. But I get to see it while I'm doing all the other stuff of mummy things and house things, and I still get to just that intentional minute to like connect to the muse and to work it out. And therefore I'm ready when I get that inspirational hit and I can get into it because I've developed that habit. Does that make sense? And so what are the days to create and to make it a daily habit? So that's the thing, first thing in the morning. Or you have like 2 to 3 days of the week. This is why I'm saying I reckon in my business I spend maybe 20 to 30% of my time painting, but there are seasons of it. So obviously when I am preparing for an exhibition, I'm not just head down bum up just painting only. I still have to do the work for my business to feed it. Just like I have seasons of when mummy's busy, but that doesn't mean I can't feed my children and look after the house and let the whole thing fall into disarray, because I know that just doesn't keep my flow going in terms of my creativity and my life. And I don't want to sacrifice, and it's not part of my values. This is why it's really good to get clear on your values about sacrificing my family life and my relationships and my connection of living a fulfilled, joyful, purposeful life for the sake of my art. But that means there's still seasons where there might be really a lot more focus on painting, but I still have to promote it. I still have to talk about it. I still have to show up for my community, so I don't just disappear for months on end and then come up and be like, hey, look at me, I haven't talked to you in a while. Don't be that person who like ignores you for ages and then comes back and expects you to be best friends again. And the reason we do that is because the second part of that equation is that you need to create work that talks about your story, that shares your story, because your story is part of that art. This is why I wanted to be clear about who you are, what it is that you're doing, why you're here, why you're creating this work, why you're creating the business, what it is that you're passionate about, what's your message, what is the transformation that you're offering for the world. That is what you're going to talk about. This is the marketing side of things, right? Business talk, marketing type of things. This is about letting people know you and to it's called the know, like, trust factor in business, because at the end of the day, people buy from people that they feel like are friends, right? And so that's just the way of life. Like, you think about the brands that you love, you feel some sort of connection to it. And maybe it's not, like, maybe Apple isn't your friend, but you probably have friends who love Apple products, and you connect to that lifestyle, and you connect to that. You feel like it resonates with who you are and your identity in some way. But you think about the smaller brands and the creatives that you love and that you connect with, and that you've actually bought their work, right? So I'm not talking about people that you admire and you look at their art and stuff, but you never quite buy their work. Think about the things that you spend your money on and you actually take that step closer. I think about that cash exchange as a deeper connection with the creative. So I think about the jewelry I've bought. I think about the handbags I've bought. I think about this little handmade little pot that I made, right? These are creative works that I've bought and I'm invested in because I feel a sense of connection and kinship and friendship in a way. And so as creatives, especially if you want to build this personal brand and it's your creative work that you want to showcase online, you need to share your story, create content, put that in here, create content that tells your story, that because your story is also the art that you need to create, because the word of the day is to create. And so how do we do that? How do we do that? Because the thing I need to talk about today, the habit and the actions that you need to take, is not only to make the art, create the art, but also create the other art. Now that you're a creative business, you're going to create the other art, which is talking about your art, talking about your story, talking about your business, and not just talking about it, but talking about it in a way that is intentional because you want to develop that relationship with your dream clients and customers. Absolutely, there are those one or two who will just like instantly love your work. They'll see it instantly, and they'll just pay you the money, and then they just leave. They don't have any connection with you again. I've had a few of those, but that's not, you cannot rely on that 100%, right? Just like there are the one or two people who buy Apple products and they just instantly buy it, they don't care what it is, they just want to buy it and that's just it. But the rest of the masses who buy it, they connected with the branding, they connected with the life, they connected with the story of Apple, of being for the people who are a little bit different. They, you know, the Steve Jobs, right? It was his personal brand of wanting to create a company that broke the mold, that was a little different, that valued aesthetic and that minimal aesthetic, and really valued really great design and valued innovation. It's now become such a big thing that we might have forgotten, but that was the story that first led to building that business. And so for you, obviously might not be in such a big way, but for you, your story and why you're doing it and all that kind of stuff needs to be shared and told. Talk a lot more about that in terms of building a brand tomorrow in day 4, where we talk about building more than just a business. You're building a brand, and I talk about the 4 things that you need to do in order to show. But today, the create. You got to create the art, your painting, right? Let's say whatever that is. You also have to create the work, the content that tells that story and talks about your art. And how do we do that? Because you need to do this consistently. Just like you cannot just do one painting and then hope to build a whole business around this one painting. You need to develop that habit of creating more and more paintings and be a painter. In order to be a painter, you got to paint. If you want to be a writer, you got to write. If you want to be a jeweler, you got to make the jewelry. If you want to be someone that sells cakes and teaches about selling cakes, you need to make the cake and learn more and learn about how to teach it, right? That's the art part. That's the creative work. Then you also have to create content that talks about it and shares about it, and you got to do that consistently. And I believe in daily because it's just so much easier than trying to think, 3 times a week, and then I go, okay, I didn't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow. But I know, and you know, tomorrow it doesn't happen again. And so if I make it daily, if my goal is to make it daily, if I don't quite hit daily and it's more daily-ish, it's a lot easier to go, okay, did I do it today? Okay, I can't go to sleep until I've created something and I've touched a painting or I've connected with my art in some way, and I've also created content that talked about my story. Okay, talked about all this stuff. How the practicals of it. How do you make this consistent? I'm looking at all my notes. I'm getting all confused. Here we are. Okay. How do you want to make it consistent? Which is hard. I remember how hard it was, and it felt like it was impossible, because any new habit that you have to create always feels hard at the beginning because it's not a habit yet. The reason we want to aim for it to be a habit means it's part of your everyday. It's now part of my everyday to just show up on Instagram and on Facebook and to just share about my work and talk about my art and still also make art while also doing all the other stuff. But this took time, and it didn't just take time, it took intentional practice. And intentional practice means every time I fail, I don't go, oh, clearly this is not for me, I give up now. I remembered why I was committed. I was clear about why I was doing this. And then I picked myself up and I did it imperfectly. And then I did it again the next day. And then I did it again the next day until I didn't have to, sometimes you might have to put reminders on your phone, right? Do what you need to do to put reminders on your phone to do it, to make an event so that you have to share it. Sign up for something where you have to, an exhibition, so that I had to produce the work, because that's when I was working on my painting practice. Last year I had a baby, okay, but I said to myself I wanted to be prolific. So last year I really made it intentional. I made more paintings last year with a newborn than I did any other year in my business. And why did that happen? Was I magic? No, I just was intentional about it and committed to that habit and built that habit of making the work. All right, how do I do it? How do you do it consistently? Because how do you think of new content to share? And how do you how to create the content consistently? Document your process. This is why you need to get clear about what your process is, why you're doing it, why painting, why jewelry, why this. Share your story. I find documenting my process and documenting my day helps not only to articulate my creative process, that's how you learn to talk about your work in a way that feels like you're in charge and you know what you're talking about. Maybe you're not quite sure yet, but this is where you can practice being a leader of your own creative work, because you learn to articulate it. You're talking about the process. You're talking about this new thing that you experimented. You're talking about how you tried this thing and this magical thing happened that you did not intend. You talk about you learnt this new technique from this person on TV and this woman whose mum told you, and then you tried it, and that's why now you want to keep trying it. I'm thinking about cakes and baking and stuff. I read recipe books because I'm really suck at recipes. Not that I'm a good chef at all or a good cook at all, but I'll read recipes to get ideas of to make this flavor you need to have this combination of herbs, and I read enough of it to see the pattern, and then I implement it and try and tweak it out, because if I have to follow a recipe, I can't cook, and so I prefer to just try it out that way. But you share that process. If you were to be a leader in the cooking space, right, in your kind of style of whatever it is, documenting your process, documenting about when you got this idea and this idea led to this thing, which then led to this thing, which is why you created this thing. Your dream customers and clients, the reason they love you, think about when you wrote down what they are like. They probably love the fact that you did it that way. They probably love the fact that you combined your passion for go-karting with this creative business of taking photos, right? That's why your photos are all about being in that rough and dirt and go-karting and the speed and then the way that the light moves with I don't know, right? But they only learn about that and develop that know, like, and trust factor and become your friend is if they kind of come with you, if you bring them with you as you document your process, maybe you're documenting your process of starting this business, and you bring along these people who would love to support you along your way, and you talk about the different ideas and what inspires you. So there's that. How do you create that content consistently? You document your process. And so make it a habit. If you're going to be showing up on Instagram or on Facebook, this is where Insta stories come in. And make it like, if you have to put a reminder on your phone every 2 hours or every hour while you're doing your painting, you stop. Because I remember that took a lot of coming out, because once I'm in a zone I forget, so I had to put reminders on my phone to like take photos. And this is where you also get to practice taking photos of your work, and or to like share little snippets, or to do a little boomerang, or whatever it is, where you're documenting your process. Because if I had to think of something to post all the time every day and create a whole new piece of artwork, which is like a photo with a caption or whatever, that helps attract and develop that no like factor with my dream customers and clients, it was too much, because then I was already using all my creative energy on my paintings, and then I was still trying to come up with some new entertaining, inspiring, beautiful artwork for them, when really what they wanted from me was to come along on my journey. They wanted to get to know me better. And to know me, and not just to know, hey, I'm Brenda, I'm an artist, but also to like me. They have to like me, not just, oh, this is how she makes the artwork, this is how she thinks about her work. But I also share, because part of my day, part of my process, this is why the second part, how I should create consistently, is to document your day and to share both the ups and downs, is to develop that connection. It's because they like me, because they know that I'm a mama. I'm weaving all of this with laundry and my kids and my day and school drop-offs and all of those things. That's how they get to like me. Because if they don't like that part of me, they probably was never going to buy from me. They are not my dream customers and clients or collectors. Then in order to build the trust factor, this is when you do it consistently. This is why I say you try to show up daily. And this is a habit. And this is where you embrace your imperfections, and you share how your fears and how you failed in this area and you are disappointed, but not just sharing your dirty laundry, because I think that's a mistake that people think they have to do in order to be vulnerable and authentic. I think definitely you have to share both the shitty stuff as well as the stuff that you want to showcase and shine. Look at this beautiful painting I made. I can't believe I made it. I can't believe it came from me. It is so beautiful. But at the same time, they trust you more. They not only like the pretty painting, but they will trust you more because you also share the part of that process where you're like, maybe I'm not good enough. And I face that same bad habit thinking about how I'm not good enough, and I really have to work through it. But I had to remember that it's part of the process. I'm still learning. I'm going to give myself some grace, and I know that this is going to make a better painting. And so the way I like to think of it is not just sharing dirty laundry, but to practice even in the downs and part of your day is to step into being that leader and creative biz owner. And being a leader doesn't mean you have to be perfect and only showcase all the good stuff and only the final result. Because nowadays, in order to really connect with people in a way where they get to feel like they know you and like you and trust you enough to pay you for the work, that you are going to be consistent and that you're going to be an artist or creative person. And I know this for my collectors, that you showed up every day, you're committed to your work. And so that when they can show that work, and I'm showing you that pot, and I'm showing you the jewelry, and I'm showing you the painting that they bought or whatever in their home, and they talk about you to their friends because they love your work, they love your story, they love the way you shared your process, but they want to be able to tell your friends so that they know that the friend can check you up and find you, and you're still creating work, that you haven't disappeared because you haven't been consistent, or that you actually are not who you say you are, or that actually you're only just showing the perfect side, and then therefore you disappear for ages because you're having bad days. All you do is only share the crappy stuff in order to be vulnerable and to share all the downside of things, but you're not stepping into that leadership role. Does that make sense? I don't know why we went after that, but definitely. Okay, know, like, and trust factor. This is something we're going to talk a lot more of, and to really tailor for you, for my private clients in the one-on-one with my first 5 offering with the 8 weeks together. We cover a lot of topics, but a lot of the time it'll be tailored to you. So during our launch call, this is how it works, right? We will, before we start together in November, we will have our launch call as soon as you sign up, which means you have access to me in Voxer, which is a messaging app on your phone. So then you can have me in your pocket and message me as you can, like what I just did last night with my coach. I'm launching all these things and I'm freaking out. I'm feeling like I'm not good enough, and I'm feeling like maybe I am just wasting my time, wasting everybody else's time. Nobody wants to learn from me. Who am I to think all these things? And then she could just message me back, remember, this is what your vision is. Remember that you need to hold that, you need to be a leader, and just really encouraging me, as opposed to just waiting for those weekly calls. So we will have 8 weekly calls together where we really dive deep and get the strategy on and make the plan and do all the practicals of all the different topics. Whether for you it might be a lot more mindset work, it might be about developing these habits, it might be really learning about the business side of things and laying the practical structures and systems in place so that you know and feel confident about this thing that you're building that is your creative business. And so one of those topics that, if this is your thing that you need to really focus on, you need help with, we will be talking about the know, like, and trust factor. And so I've just skimmed it really quickly for you. And part of the know, like, and trust factor is that you need to be consistent. And you need to show up. And whatever consistent looks like for you. I prefer daily-ish, because especially now, if you want to, and we talked about the clarity part of where you want to show up and when you want to show up, and obviously you get personalized attention from me about that in my first 5 mentoring, is we want to show up online. I'm assuming if you're here, you love this online space and you want to use social media in some way to leverage your art and create this creative business so you can reach more people instead of just your local stuff. I still believe in working in your local area and doing the in-person thing, especially if your art is a tangible product. But that doesn't mean that you can't use this online space. But part of this online environment we're in, daily is the way to show up. Because you think about how often you're checking your socials, that's how often you want to be connecting with your dream customers and clients. And trust me, it may feel like, because I feel like I've been showing up so much every day, especially this week with all these live streams. But I know that my dream customers and my dream community who love me and love my work and want to pay me for it, they maybe only see me the 1 or 2 times that they've been on, because they're scrolling and seeing everybody else, because there's so much noise out there, so many other creatives that they're being inspired by, so many other artists and mentors and coaches that they're learning from and connecting with. And so the rule of thumb of like business is that people need to see your message and see you at least 7 times before they really want to step closer. And stepping closer might mean signing up to your email list, or which will be another thing we will talk about next week. I need to put that down here. Email list. Or maybe the stepping closer is actually paying you for that thing. Whatever that stepping closer is, it might be like to actually follow you. When they're just getting to know you and they might see your thing, it takes 7 touches before they get to like maybe step a little closer to follow your page. And then once they follow, they might need to see 7 more things from you before they're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to sign up to that free thing that they're offering. I'm actually going to join their live stream. I'm actually going to comment on their stuff. And then another 7 more before they trust you enough to like buy something small from you or to join your sale or whatever it is that you're offering. And so this know, like, trust factor, consistency is such a big thing that people forget. And this is where you will have to use the practices that you gained by being consistent with showing up for your creative work, that you've reached this point now where you're like, I am ready to start offering it for the world. You will probably have skill sets and experience and your way, your own creative practice that you can use and leverage to apply to this new thing that you're building, which is your creative business. This is what we talk about when we work with me one-on-one in private mentoring. I should definitely say that it's in the pinned comment below. You can check it out, find more information in that link that's there in that comment, or message me your questions to find out whether or not it's a good fit for you, because obviously with 8 weeks together, it's an investment in time and energy and this one-on-one personalized attention. And so we need to make sure it's a good fit for both of us, and I want to make sure that I can really help you achieve what it is that you want to achieve. And so definitely check that out. The information and link is there, and then you can apply. It's just a couple of quick questions, and then we just schedule a discovery call together, because I love this one-on-one face. I need eyeball time with you. I need to like look you in the eye and really talk and make sure that we kind of fit personality wise, and we kind of get each other's, you know, juju. There's no obligation on those things. That's just a discovery call for us to really have a chat, really. So find that link in the pinned comments below. All right, we talked about consistency in creating the work, your creative work, consistency in, I want to make this short, in creating the content that you need to showcase and market your work. So if you prefer to write content, as in like send out emails or write newsletters, then you need to find a way to create that consistently. If you prefer to post photos on Instagram or on Facebook, you need to find a way to create that consistently and aim for daily. And one of the ways, that's why I shared in before about to do that consistently daily, is to document your process. And the reason we want to document our process is not just so that we can like say we've done it daily, is because you also share your story, you share that connection, you develop that know, like, and trust factor. All right. Not to close. How do you maintain this energy? Because I know there'll be some of you who's just like, yes, I can do this. I'm going to do it. I've been doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. What do I actually share? What do I actually write? It all depends on your story. It depends on your goals. This is why I'm offering the one-on-one mentoring, so we can really get clear on that. Definitely comment below any of your questions, and I can come around and answer as best as I can in between school pickup and stuff. This is why I offer mentoring, because then I can really invest that time back to you to give you that personalized time and attention to like brainstorm and really pinpoint what is holding you back. Because a lot of the time you already have the answers, but you're too scared of it, or you don't believe enough about yourself or trust yourself enough to do it, or think that you're capable enough, or that inner critic voice is just a little too loud and you can't hear your own inspired voice. So my job is to help you work that out. How do you but the other part of you, I know, is going to be like, how do you maintain this energy to like keep showing up? Because at the beginning, it's going to feel hard, because developing like any new habit is always hard because it's not a habit yet. And making it daily and creating, and especially at the beginning when you're starting out, there might not be a lot of attention. So you're not getting enough claps. You know, I think about my toddler, right? When she does any small thing now, she needs us to like give us a round of applause. Oh, you threw the thing into the actual bin. Yay. She put on pants by herself. Yay. Even though she's still wearing nappies, but she actually did a little wee in the toilet. Yay. And so when you're starting, it might feel like you want to be acknowledged, and you want to be appreciated for all this work, and you're like stretching yourself and doing this hard work of creating content to share for people, right? Let me just get a sip. Comment below. Are you freaking out and don't think you can maintain it? Or are you like getting so inspired and you're getting all the ideas, you know what you need to share now? Because I already said at the beginning, right? You got to document your process, share your story, all those things. How do you maintain this energy? Well, treat it like a new healthy habit with intention. Okay, put that in there. So for me, these are 2 suggestions that I would get my clients to practice. First is mindset work. I keep talking about this. It is a huge factor. It is a big thing because most of the time you already have the answers. You already have the ability. You already have all the tools available to you. You're just not doing it because you're freaking out. And the reason you're freaking out is because your mind is not set on the direction that you want to go. Your mind is not set as the hopeful, confident person that you know you want to become, which is that creative business owner, that creative who is working and connecting with dream clients. And so because you're stuck in this person who is freaking out and scared and wants to be safe and don't want to stretch beyond your comfort zone. So in order to set your mind, which is what mindset work is, you need to find and develop that as a habit and part of your work, part of your creative process. So sometimes when I'm sitting there having my morning coffee and I'm writing in my journal and my kids want to disturb me, I have to draw the boundary, obviously help them if they need help or whatever, but draw the boundary of like, no, mummy's doing work. Mummy's doing work. Even though I'm not technically doing work on the computer or at the easel, I know that my mindset work and my journaling is part of my work, because if I don't set my mind correctly and I don't set my mind in such a way that I can show up and be 100% the leader, muse, artist that I can be, I know I'm going to be a shitty and not be the great mum that I want to be for them. And so your mindset work is whatever it is that works for you. So I believe in journaling, writing, because it's simple, it's easy access to, you have a pen, you have a paper, you know how to write, you're writing to yourself. So maybe you hate writing, so then you're sending, I know people who send voice messages to themselves. Do that. Talk it out. All the fears, all the freaking out, all the reasons why you can't, all the reasons why you suck. Write it, say it, release it. That's one way to journal as well. It's like stream of consciousness, all the junk. And even if it feels like junk and muck, better out than in. You get it out and you release it and you get rid of that energy, as opposed to trying to hold it in your body, because you can't create like that. Just like I hope you've learned. You can't, maybe you do. Maybe you release it into your paintings. If that's the case, then treat it as part of your mindset work, as part of your ritual. So I posted it in that comment. Mindset work, journal, pray, have a ritual. And the reason I believe in making it a ritual, and a ritual doesn't have to be too fancy. For me, part of my ritual, which I don't get to do daily, but I do my mindset work daily, is I sit down on my kitchen bench, which is just over there, and I have my cup of coffee, and the kitchen bench needs to be clear, which is why I don't get to do it daily. And I sit down with that coffee and I have a sip, and then I start writing. And that feels like a ritual for me because it's intentional. That's what a ritual is. It's about intentional actions that you've attached meaning to. And so you can make your own ritual. Maybe it's in the shower, and that's where you're doing your prayer and meditation. And that's where you're like clearing all the bad things, cry if you need to cry because you've been freaking out, all the things that you've been learning, or talking yourself, psyching yourself up to remind you of all the things that you wanted to do. That's why I said in yesterday's video about being clear about who it is that you are, what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it. Maybe for you, it's about walking, meditating, I already said that, talking to yourself, voice messages, whatever it is. Part of your job now as a creative business builder person is to develop that mindset, ritual, habit, part of your life. It's part of your work. It's now part of your creative process. You probably already have little bits to kind of get you inspired. You know, you might wander around in nature, go for a walk, get inspired by the feeling of the trees and the colors, and then you come back into your studio and you make that work. That is actually your ritual of connecting to creativity. And so your mindset work is having this habit of connecting to this higher self, to this greater vision of becoming this leader and person who is creating this creative business, and you want to connect with these dream customers and clients, and remembering what it is that you're offering them beyond just the thing that you're offering, the offering behind the offering, the transformation that you're giving them, the beauty and experience and connection that you're giving them. And so remembering that, then it's no longer just about you and how you're tired of learning all these things and doing and not getting all the claps and feeling like getting impatient, because then you connect back to being that person who is not just doing this for the money, but because you want to create great work that you love and connect with. Because I believe the reason we want to create work and make it a business is because it was no longer enough to just create the painting or the art. It was because the next step in that creative process was to offer it for people and to see that transformation and to give them that connection. And I knew for my creative practice that my painting wasn't just for me, that my creative process wasn't finished until I gave it out and I sold it for people, and there was that energy exchange, and I saw that transformation, and I saw that joy and connection to themselves and their inner higher selves, and to recognize their own values, and it mirrors their dreams, all those things, right? And so remembering that your mindset habit is your ritual and your actions that you need to take in order to reconnect to that higher calling. Does that make sense? And the other way, the second way to maintain this energy of like creating the work and creating the content, because tomorrow we're going to talk about all the things that you also need to do as to show as you're building this business. You're not just building a business, you're also building a brand, and what that means. You're going to need to be able to maintain that energy. And so the first one was the mindset work. The second one is I've forgotten to do this myself for a while, and I've had to start doing that again and be intentional about making this into a habit, is to have a gratitude practice, right? And so collect gratitude and appreciation. You're basically looking for evidence of your amazingness, and you're looking for evidence of the new you that you want to become. So in all this time, how do you maintain this energy? And the reason you might not have the energy is you feel like maybe you are not good enough. There's no evidence and appreciation or claps or comments or likes on any of your posts because people can't see you yet. They don't know you yet. They don't quite like you yet. And so then you start doubting. That's where you lose that energy. Or someone said, your mom or that random auntie who always says shitty things, right? Says something to you and it deflates you a little. And then, your friend that is a friend but not really a friend says something else and goes, oh, how's that little thing that you're doing, and then it kind of deflates you even more, because then all those doubts starts coming in, and you start doubting not just your calling and your vision and all the things. You start doubting your ability, and you start doubting your own amazingness, and you start doubting that you can become this creative business owner and person that you want to become, right? And so now is the time, as part of your work, mindset work, is to collect things to be grateful for. So there's a gratitude practice, like noticing the signs all around you that happens to you every day that you're like, oh, that was cool. Like you found a coin on the ground, or someone smiled at you and said something nice about your hair, right? There's little signs that you might have dismissed, but signs that you're loved, and that you are being seen, maybe not on your post, but like you're being seen and you're being appreciated, and that you are loved, and that if you can understand that, there is less power in all those doubt drains, those doubting thoughts and attacks that drains your energy. Doubt drains. Let me write that down. Don't let the doubt drains keep you down. Okay, definitely comment below or write in your journal, what are the things that drains you with doubt? Knowing it and articulating it, being clear about these, means you can be noticing them and releasing them and doing the work to build yourself back up. This is the stuff, yes, we're working with you. If you're working with me one-on-one, we work through that. This is why you have that Voxer message, because it's a daily thing. You bump something, someone said something, you just had a thought and you're like freaking out. You just woke up in the middle of the night like, oh, but I didn't do this. Oh no, what happens if everything crumbles down around me, right? And I can help you with that. But this practice of noticing and knowing what it is that drains you, and then developing this ritual and habit of noticing and seeing evidence of your amazingness, and that you are loved, and that you're being divinely supported, right? Whatever divinely supported looks like for you, the universe, God, really. I'm using the word God, that God loves you and cares for you and is giving you these little gifts. They're like, he's like raining little flowers and unicorns and rainbows on you, and you're just like dismissing it because it's so part of your day. And so a gratitude practice might be writing in your journal as part of your mindset work all the things that you can be grateful for. You're alive, you're breathing, you have legs, you can see, you have an iPhone, you have this dream that is like feeding you in this creative practice that like gives you so much joy, and that one person wrote a little comment, or you had 10 likes yesterday, and all those things, so that you can get to this feeling of like, wow, I am so grateful. And that energy is going to give you the strength to plug all those doubt holes, those drains. Doubt hole sounds really kind of wrong, isn't it? Okay. And so that's the gratitude practice. And then look for evidence of your amazingness. There's probably already a lot of feedback from others about your amazingness. And maybe it's not about your creative work, maybe it's in other areas. And your sister's friend says to you, oh, you're always so colorfully dressed. I really love the way that you dress so well. And it really reflects your personality, right? And you're like, you don't want to be a fashion person at all, or a fashion blogger or anything. Your dream is to create this jewelry business or whatever it is. But like, that is evidence of your amazingness. That is evidence that, you know how you're feeling like you're not getting your claps? You're probably getting claps everywhere else. And so if you want more of it, appreciate the ones that you're getting and look for evidence of it. And so I'm being intentional now, making this a habit of noticing it, because I was feeling all those doubts draining my energy, right? Of like, oh, a friend wrote beautiful words about my ability. Another friend shared my work for me without me even asking her, and she said such amazing things. I'm like collecting it and putting it into my notes app on my phone, so that when I'm feeling like I'm not good enough, who am I to dare? Who am I to think that I'm capable? No one gives a crap about what I'm doing. I feel unseen. No one is noticing. I can go to that notes app, and that collection of all these things that prove how amazing I was, the feedback that I was getting, I am being seen, I am being appreciated. And then it helps me build back up again. And so that's the looking for evidence of your amazingness, and then look for evidence of the new you that you want to become. So when I first started doing this mentoring thing, I had no idea I wanted to do this mentoring thing and this coaching thing. I just wanted to paint. But then as I got into more conversations and then sharing my work and join a community, which we'll talk a lot more about in day 5, and a part of why I want to develop this, I want to work one-on-one with you, is because not only do we then work together on building this business, I can then help you tap into this community. This is why you get 6 months access inside my Muse Mojo, and you get to connect with these creatives who are in there, and also you learn what it's like to be surrounded by people who have the same goals and the same struggles, but also the same dreams and desires to become better and become more of who they want to become. And that is being ambitious spiritual creators who want to design and be intentional about designing a joyful, purposeful life. All right. It is getting late. I didn't want it to be so long. But I hope that this has been helpful. Okay. Write all these things down, check it through. If you're watching the replay, check it through all the notes, and this evidence of the new you that you want to become. So I had to look for that, and I had to notice when someone came to me and asked me my advice, and then the advice I gave, and they said, thank you, Brenda. That was really helpful. And this was before I was doing any mentoring, and before I even had a membership, and before I had any of that. I had to notice it and look for evidence that I was capable and that I was already doing it, because you're already doing it in some way. So if you've already been painting for a while and you gave it away, remember it. Remember how that feedback that you got, that kind of reflects the feedback that you want to get from your dream clients and customers. Remember that. Look for evidence of that. Write it down so that you can refer back to it. You know that now as a creative business owner, you need to step into this leadership. You need to be consistent. You need to show up and share your story. So anytime you've done that And even if you've done it imperfectly, don't see it as, oh, you didn't do it very well. See it as evidence that you are building this business, that you might not quite have it yet, but you are building it, and that you are building this habit of being consistent. Maybe you're not consistent yet, but you are building this habit of being consistent, that your intentions are to keep moving forward, and that you're not just a dreamer, but you're also a doer. All right, I will leave you with that. That went for a lot longer, but I hope it was chock full of really practical advice and prompts and homework for you to get not only clear about, but to write your answers down to all those things. How are you going to document your process, sharing it up and down? What are you going to do to implement it? And start today, starting in that habit of showing up consistently. You can start now, even if you haven't quite got ready to like build this business. Start practicing it now in different ways, creating the work, showing up for the work, connecting to your creative process, but also to the business that you want to build, and this journaling mindset work practice and this gratitude practice. And if you want more help with building this business and really finding your answers for this and how to really lay that foundations to really get this business started, of finding your first 5 clients, customers, or collectors of your creative work, definitely DM me, message me to talk about whether or not private one-on-one mentoring with me is a good fit for you. We can chat about what your vision and your goals and your hopes and dreams are, and what it is that you want to hope to achieve by the end of the year, because trust me, you can achieve so much more when you're not doing this alone, and really start the next year with a bang, and like really be able to launch it and create the structure so then you can get back to doing the creative work that you love, but in a way that really rejuvenates you, because you're connecting deeper with the customers and clients that you want to connect with, who appreciate and love your work, and you can start that cycle going. As well as working on your mindset work, working on the how to find your way to weave it all with all your life stuff, and to practicalities of what a business means and what it means to be a brand. We will talk more about that in the next tomorrow's in day 4. And I will see you then. Definitely comment below all the things that resonated, all the homework that you're going to do. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to message me, and check out the pinned comment below about the first 5, what's involved, what's included. If you have any questions, message me. Even if you're not sure whether it's a good fit, message me and we can chat, and you can check it out. Definitely apply for that discovery call so that we can answer some questions more in depth, and you can, even just in answering the questions, I believe you're going to get more clear about what it is that you want to go for, and get clear about what it is that you want to achieve. And that in itself is going to be really helpful for you to be able to know what your next steps are going to be. And then if we're a good fit, I can help you put the things in place that you need to put in place so that you can get there a lot faster and finish this year not still dreaming and talking and wishing about starting this creative business that you've been dreaming about. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 4. Thank you so much for being here. I know I talk a lot, but I hope that it has been super helpful. Definitely message me what your questions are and anything you're struggling with that I might be able to answer for tomorrow in terms of building a brand. And let me know what resonated with you in today's video in the comments below, or message me as well. I would love to know. Bye guys, I will see you tomorrow.